Away from that, reactions have trailed the issuance of a new executive order to lower project costs, attract more investors, and enhance revenues from operations in the oil sector by President Bola Tinubu. The document, which was made public by the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Energy, Olu Verheijen, said the move is to further strengthen Nigeria's global competitiveness and attract greater investment in the sector. The Upstream Petroleum Operations Cost Efficiency Incentives Order 2025 introduces a new performance-driven framework that links tax incentives to verifiable cost savings, benchmarks operations by terrain, and protects public revenues while rewarding operational efficiency. President Tinubu has directed the Special Advisor on Energy to coordinate interagency efforts to ensure alignment and implementation across all relevant institutions. To make sense of this, we're joined by Energy Analyst Seun Dania. Thank you for joining us on the news, Seun.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, with oil production increasing to 1.61 million barrels per day, how would you assess the sustainability of this growth in light of the new reforms?
I mean, it's a very positive signal. Us getting to 1.6 million barrels because we haven't hit that level since early 2023, since when our production dipped to about 1.2 million, due to theft, vandalism, and, underinvestment in infrastructure in the oil sector. However, this uptick reflects that there's been some level of improved security in the Niger Delta region. There's been changes in the board of, the NNPC and all of that. There's been, probably faster project approvals and reforms since 2024. And I mean, that has renewed investor confidence. But of course, sustainability is very critical. And we believe that, the new incentive order that has been released will definitely play a central role because we see that this order focuses on cost efficiency through performance and performance-based tax incentives, and then there'll be some terrain benchmarks, and then be capped tax credits. So evidently we know that we have to measure it, the kind of amounts that we get, cost per barrel for, offshore assets and onshore assets are slightly different. And, by incentivizing the operators to cut costs, definitely we can be able to sustain this increased production.
Okay. Now, the executive order emphasizes the application of local content requirements without hindering investments. How can the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board balance local capacity limitations with the need for foreign expertise and investment?
I think there will just be a couple of ways. There needs to be sort of like a tiered local content requirement. So like I mentioned earlier on, we need to apply flexible targets based on the project types. Onshore assets, onshore projects, definitely we have more local firms that have more capacity. It's slightly different, and it's different from kind of like, offshore assets. So I believe if you have like a tiered system whereby they can enforce higher local contents for onshore, and then, for deep offshore projects, they can kind of like, reduce or balance out what it is. And then, of course, there needs to be stuff like mandates whereby the foreign companies need to partner with local firms, in these joint ventures, ensure that there's a lot of knowledge transfer while ensuring that the projects stay on track, and make sure that our production and doesn't hinder our production. I also believe that there should be incentives on foreign investment. So the Content Development Management Board needs to work with the NUPRC to offer tax credits and faster approvals for foreign operators who are willing to invest in local capacity. Say, for instance, if they are funding training programs and building fabrication yards, this aligns with what the government is trying to do. There needs to be incentives for those things. And of course, as a Nigerian businesses, we need to ensure that there's transparency in order to further boost investor confidence and build trust where things are where things are a little bit sketchy, so that the policy can actually see the light of day.
Okay, now still speaking on the policy, what specific initiatives are being considered to enhance local capacity in the oil and gas sector, ensuring that local content requirements are met without compromising project timelines or even costs?
The NCDMB already has like a human capacity development fund that's already training thousands of Nigerians annually. But we need to scale it in order to be able to meet up with the production levels that we need to get, and be able to get Nigerian local content to be able to operate in like the deep offshore assets. So maybe, partnerships with global institutions like the University of Houston's Petroleum Engineering Program and, maybe Norway's Offshore Training Center. They can produce world-class engineers and technicians, and definitely they'll be able to, maybe in about the next couple of years, maybe 4 to 5 years, we'll definitely be able to close that critical skill gap in the deep offshore. And definitely, of course, Nigeria as a country, we need to invest in infrastructure. Local capacity depends on facilities like fabrication yards, testing labs. We have examples like the Lador Free Zone in Lagos, which is a success story that's been handling a lot of major projects. So expanding such hubs to regions like Warri, Bonny would definitely boost capacity without delaying projects. And of course, we also need to focus on technology transfer programs, whereby the NCDMB can mandate these foreign operators as a condition for their contract to transfer specific technologies to local firms. So for instance, if like a Schlumberger is providing drilling services, it needs to train Nigerians on advanced, seismic imaging tools, which will build long-term expertise without, disrupting the current cost of the projects. And I believe, finally, I think like with the small businesses, SME support and financing, because there are a lot of small businesses who have this capacity, and they are the backbone of local content, but they often lack capital. So if we have the NCDMB intervention fund, they've been disbursing over $500 million since 2017. They can offer kind of like low interest loans to these or grants to these local firms to upgrade their equipment and be able to bid on larger contracts, which usually go out to these foreign entities. We're sure that we can be able to deliver on time and within budget.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Seun, for your time and speaking on this.
Thank you very much for having me.